General Ross is a recurring villain in the Hulk's chronicles. Whenever things go fine in Hulk's life, General Ross returns like a toxic ex, trying to ruin everything that Dr. Banner has managed to build up for himself. Since his introduction in the first issue of The Incredible Hulk, everyone knew that we would be seeing more of General Ross. But no one would have guessed the phenomenal re-entry of General Ross in the picture as Red Hulk in the second volume of Hulk. The Red Hulk is dangerous, with several interesting quirks under his belt. But how strong is he? And should our boy Green Hulk be worried about Red Hulk? That's what we're going to find out in this video. So let's get cozy and break down all the tricks that Red Hulk has up his sleeve. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin. General Ross. The journey to becoming the Red Hulk. Given how obvious General Ross's hatred for the Hulk is, it was definitely an interesting turn of events when we saw him come back as Red Hulk. He became the very thing he hated. But the question that plagued all of us fans was why he agreed to become Red Hulk. Was he kidnapped and forced into this? Or was it an accident, like what Bruce went through? See, ever since his youth, Thaddeus E. Ross was driven by his warped sense of purpose and control. He comes from this extremely proud lineage, and a close relationship with the military. So he knew that he had to follow in his family's footsteps and get into the military as well. He joined the United States Military Academy and did extremely well there. He graduated with flying colors and then started working for the Air Force. There he was under the guidance of Captain Lee, who happened to have a daughter, Karen. Once Thaddeus had done well for himself in his career, he married Karen. Together they had a daughter, Betty. However, their happy family life was cut short when Karen passed away. Betty was just in her teens by then. By that time, General Ross was the commander of the desert base in New Mexico. It was a very important missile base and nuclear research center. Ross didn't think that this was the best place to raise a child, and without much discussion, he sent Betty to a boarding school several miles away until she graduated. And this is when Bruce Banner came into the picture. See, when Bruce was in science high school for a science project, he designed a bomb from scratch. If it went off, several people would have been hurt, but Bruce managed to stop the bomb by himself, claiming his imaginary friend Hulk helped him. The news of a boy creating a bomb reached Ross, and he found himself intrigued. He met with Bruce's aunt, Susan Banner, who was his guardian at the time, and told her that while Bruce's design was rather sophisticated, the weapon was not well made. Regardless of that, the military was impressed by his work and wanted to invest in his education, so that one day Bruce could become a great weapon designer working for the military. Now, after years, Bruce showed up in the New Mexico desert base of the United States to oversee the whole construction of the gamma bomb. By this time, Betty had also returned from her boarding school and was living at the desert base to get to know her father better. Ross hated that Betty and Bruce had an obvious attraction between them. Ross found it absolutely annoying that Banner, who was a civilian, was in charge of overseeing the project, even though the gamma bomb was Bruce's invention in the first place. On top of that, because Bruce didn't fit the idea of manliness that Ross had in his head, Ross had extra contempt for the guy. All of these things together made it impossible for Ross to support or even tolerate the budding romance between Bruce and his daughter. During the initial testing of the gamma bomb, as we know, Banner was exposed to massive gamma radiation, which turned him into the ultra-powerful monster known as the Hulk. Given that Hulk is always angry, chaos and the Hulk go hand in hand. Ross found Hulk to be a huge menace to society, and this began his long, drawn-out game of cat and mouse, where Ross hunted the Hulk. Ross quickly noticed that wherever Hulk was around, Banner was nowhere to be found. This led him to suspecting that Bruce had an alliance with Hulk. To confirm his findings, Ross brought in Major Glenn Talbot as his new security chief of the desert base. Talbot, too, did not like Bruce and soon shared the same suspicions Ross did. As Talbot checked all the boxes Ross wanted in a man, when he noticed Talbot's attraction toward Betty, Ross was more than happy to ally himself with this man. He wanted Betty to give up on Bruce and shift to Talbot, and if Bruce was found guilty of treasonous activities, then it would be like killing two birds with one stone. When Pentagon started Operation Hulk, a project to specifically kill or capture the Menace, and Ross was made the head of this operation, Ross was super duper happy. But this exciting game of chase turned out to be much more complicated than Ross had assumed it would be. While yes, he was happy to learn that Banner and Hulk were one and the same, capturing the Menace was a whole different thing. Yes, Operation Hulk brought Ross into action, but the Hulk often managed to thwart the General's attempts to capture or kill him. Even if Ross somehow managed to get a hold of the Green Giant, he would somehow figure out a way to escape. The urge to stay relevant, in action, and not only a stupid desk job, with the added benefit of feeling superior after the capture of Bruce, led Ross to develop this fanatical obsession with the Hulk. However, one day everything changed. Betty was killed by the Abomination, and the Hulk was sent away by a group of superheroes known as the Illuminati. This left Ross with nothing. He no longer had his daughter or the menace he had set out to hunt. He spiraled completely and ended up in deep depression along with alcoholism. On the night Captain America was assassinated, Ross was in a bar when suddenly everyone around him seemed to go into a trance. At this moment, he was approached by MODOK, i.e. George Tarleton, and leader Samuel Stearns. These two villains told Ross that Hulk would return to Earth soon, and Ross should use that opportunity to seek revenge on him. They also promised him that his daughter would be brought back to life. Hearing all that, Ross was convinced to join the villains. After Hulk returned in the World War Hulk arc, Ross helped in the fight against the Hulk, all while keeping up with his new allies. With MODOK, Leader, and Doc Samson, Ross siphoned energy from the Hulk using satellites. Then they used the siphon energy in Bruce Banner's body, which they recovered after the battle, and turned Ross into the monstrous Red Hulk. And that, my friends, is how the Red Hulk entered the picture. Honestly, I can't tell you which one is more chaotic out of the two, Hulk aka Banner or Red Hulk aka Ross. Now that we know how Ross ended up becoming Red Hulk, let's look at his powers. Why did radiation make him red but not green like Hulk? One of the biggest questions that you might have after hearing that little backstory is why Red Hulk is red and not green, right? Well, to be honest, there's no direct explanation for his color change. However, there are some factors that may have contributed to this. Like for one, Red Hulk was made out of the siphoned gamma radiation instead of being exposed to the pure and direct source like Green Hulk was. Additionally, cosmic rays were used in his transformation process, which we could say played a significant role in his coloration. Now, thinking about it in a scientific way, we can say that perhaps as Thaddeus and Bruce's genetic components are unique, on being treated by gamma radiation, siphoned or not, their genes reacted differently to it. Just like other unique abilities that Red Hulk has that I'll explain in a few. It could be that the red skin is just another unique perk that Thaddeus got thanks to his genes. Like, he can increase his internal body temperature to very high degrees, so it could be because of this that he has red skin color. Either way, let's be honest, the red color is such a cool, dark choice that really just makes this more evil and angry version of the Avenger pop. Does he have similar powers to the Hulk? When it comes to their power set, Red Hulk and the Hulk have very similar attributes. They both have that immense superhuman strength and the ungodly stamina. They also have impenetrable skin, which helps them withstand attacks from heavy-duty weaponry. They can both regenerate and heal no matter how severe the damage, and can travel vast distances in a very small time. But this is where the similarities end. While the Hulk can smell lies, see ghosts, adapt to the environment in a short time, Thaddeus Ross cannot do any of that. But as the Lord taketh away, he also giveth something, right? So while Ross cannot smell lies or see ghosts, the angrier he gets, the hotter he gets. There's a significant rise in his core temperature, as well as the radiation content in his body. In one of his first fights, we saw Thaddeus turn all the sand around him into glass, so you can imagine just how piping hot he gets. However, the excessive heat is also the reason why he fails. Due to the excessively high body temperature, he ends up weakening himself and eventually passes out. The main thing, however, that sets Red Hulk apart has to be the years of combat training and tactics that Thaddeus has under his belt. He uses these techniques frequently in his fights, which in most cases gives him a strategic advantage. I mean, this is why Mark Paniccia, Marvel editor, describes himself as the uninhibited, tactically intelligent one. What color is his blood? Exploring the mysteries of the Red Hulk. Unlike the Hulk, whose blood is green in color, the Red Hulk's blood is actually fluorescent yellow, and the color of his blood remains like this even after he changes back into his human form. Now, we all know that blood is a very important bodily fluid that's most important as the carrier of oxygen and nutrients. But blood also plays a huge role in temperature regulation. As it circulates throughout the body, it kind of acts as a messenger of how high the body temperature is in comparison to the outside temperature. Our body regulates its ideal temperature by changing the blood flow to the skin and other organs. When it comes to Thaddeus, his blood is no longer, well, blood. So with the change in his most important bodily fluid, Thaddeus kind of loses the ability to regulate his body temperature. That's why the angrier he gets, the hotter he gets. But he can never cool down and eventually passes out from overheating. Can he transform at will? We all know how much Bruce struggled initially when he ended up getting affected by the gamma rays. He could not control the transformations at all, and that's kind of what triggered Thaddeus into wondering if Bruce could somehow be related to the Hulk, right? With Bruce's frequent and convenient disappearances lining up perfectly with the Hulk's appearances, it was only a matter of time before he was caught. As the Red Hulk, however, Thaddeus Ross did not end up going through the same problem at all. Thaddeus is actually able to transform into his Red Hulk self at will. Even when he's knocked out, Thaddeus is able to remain in the Red Hulk form for hours on end, until he is awake or willing to change. But there have been a few handful exceptions where Thaddeus ended up changing while he slept. But for the most part, he's the one who calls the shots regarding when he wants to change, and that gives him an advantage in most cases. Is he more powerful than Hulk? Over the decades, there have been so many alternate universes in Marvel Comics, and in each of its timelines, we get to see several variations of the Hulk. Out of all the powerful Hulks, the most notable, iconic, and recognizable ones are the Hulks from Earth 616 and the Red Hulk. But given how similar their power sets are, the question is, who will win the fight between them? Well, let's look at their strengths, shall we? We all know that when it comes to the Incredible Hulk, his power is limitless. The angrier he gets, the stronger he gets. You can never really put a limit to someone's anger, and given how tied Hulk's powers are to his emotions, you can understand that there's no limit to his powers. Red Hulk, on the other hand, actually gets stronger by absorbing the radiation around him. It has nothing to do with his anger. While sure, he has accomplished quite a few impressive feats of strength over the years, Red Hulk's powers have limits because there's only so much radiation a body can absorb. When it comes to speed, the Hulk's speed is tied to his anger and increases with it, while the Red Hulk just has superhuman speed. What I'm trying to say is that while the Incredible Hulk's speed is effectively limitless, Red Hulk's isn't. In fact, if Red Hulk tries to go at a higher speed and moves too fast due to his rage, he ends up overheating. So Hulk wins this round. I have said that both of them can withstand attacks from weapons, yes? Well, you would think that that would mean both Hulk and Red Hulk are extremely invulnerable, right? Not exactly. While Hulk is pretty much invulnerable against anything you throw his way, and I mean anything, Red Hulk is not like that. Red Hulk has a weakness against blades and other sharp, pointy things. On one account, the Punisher stabbed the Red Hulk, and the Red Hulk bled out excessively. So this point goes to the Hulk. In the very beginning, we know that Bruce was unable to have his intellect and critical thinking in his Hulk form. However, eventually Bruce managed to work around it, and that gave us a super powerful and intelligent hero at hand. Thaddeus, although able to keep his conscious mind to himself since day one of his transformation, genuinely cannot come anywhere close to Bruce's intelligence. Because while Thaddeus is an experienced tactician, Bruce is a brilliant physicist, and their intelligence levels are in two completely separate fields of expertise. And despite Thaddeus' military background and training in combat, as Hulk, Bruce Banner has defeated several skilled warriors all across the universe, something Thaddeus has yet to do. So despite his rich history in the military as a combatant, I would give the point to Hulk simply because of his sheer willpower and brute force. So with all that in my eyes, if these two fought, Hulk would win the fight despite all odds. Does the Red Hulk keep his wits and emotions after transformation? Despite being a brilliant scientist in his human form, it's no secret that once Bruce Banner turns into the Hulk, he ends up becoming an oaf. Well, at least until the time Banner was able to preserve his intelligence even in his Hulk form. But in the case of Thaddeus Ross, he's able to keep his intelligence and memories even when he switches. This makes Thaddeus Ross less of a liability or danger to society and more of a weapon to be used. If I had to guess why he's able to keep his wits and emotions after transformation, I would guess it's because of the controlled nature of the experiment that turned him into Red Hulk. Because everything was pretty pre-planned by MODOK, Leader, and Doc Samson. I think they managed to figure out a way to ensure their strong test subject didn't end up a bumbling oaf like the Hulk. What do you think? Let me know in the comments down below. Can he beat the new Captain America? Well, Marvel fans, I'm sure you all know that the new Captain America film, Brave New World, is coming out on February 14th, 2025. With its trailer out on YouTube, a lot of us are pretty hyped up. In this movie, Sam Wilson is going to step into his role as the new Captain America, and in the trailer, it's revealed that Thaddeus Ross, played by Harrison Ford, is the one Captain America has to deal with. In the last few seconds of the trailer, we get the biggest reveal of them all, Red Hulk. From the small scene we get, it's clear that there's going to be a fight between Red Hulk and Captain America. After all, Red Hulk is shown throwing down Captain America's shield on the ground. The addition of the long-awaited character on screen is definitely a moment to rejoice, and I'm hoping that this movie would bring an end to all the speculations about who will be the winner between Red Hulk and the new Captain America once and for all. But since the movie release is quite a few months away, let's speculate. Now, we already know that the Red Hulk is a very strong opponent. However, that doesn't mean that the new Captain America won't be able to defeat him. I mean, Iron Man was able to defeat Hulk using heavy ordnance. In the trailer, we see the wings of the new Captain America slice through military planes. So with that much mechanical support and the ability to go supersonic, I'm sure if the new Captain America maintained some distance from the Red Hulk and planned out his attacks perfectly, he could win. But then again, if the fight ends up at close range, I doubt the new Captain America will be able to hold his own. I guess we'll have to wait until the movie comes out to know the answer. What do you guys think? Who would you bet on? Does he have both Venom and Ghost Rider's power? At one point, Captain America asked Ross to go after Venom, who was a fugitive at the time. They eventually met up in Las Vegas where they had an all-out fight. However, this fight was cut short when Blackheart, the son of Mephisto, decided to bring a part of Hell to Earth. Obviously, this is not good, and despite all things considered, General Ross is not an evil villain. So he decided to make up a group to stand against Blackheart, along with Venom, X-23, aka Laura Kinney, who was following the people who had stolen her blood, and Ghost Rider, who showed up after sensing Blackheart, ended up banding together with Thaddeus. Together, the trio got into a fight with their antitheses, created by Blackheart. However, the fight was a losing battle, and all three of them were killed. In Hell, Mephisto showed up and gave the heroes another chance to defeat Blackheart. Together, they somehow managed to get the Spirit of Vengeance from Blackheart, and were about to give it to Blaze when both Red Hulk and Venom were thrown away by Blackheart. Thanks to this, the symbiote, as well as the Spirit of Vengeance, both bonded with Red Hulk, turning him into the new Ghost Rider. The fight that followed was extremely gruesome, and eventually Red Hulk Ghost Rider was able to defeat Blackheart by using the mirror that is used to create the antithesis. After the dimensional portal connecting Hell and Earth was destroyed, Thaddeus gave back the symbiote to Flash, and the Spirit of Vengeance to Alejandra for good. While he ended up saving the day, unbeknownst to Red Hulk, he was marked with a Hell mark since then. Is the Red Hulk worthy of Thor's hammer? Exploring this Marvel mystery. In the 5th issue of Hulk, which came out in 2008, we as fans got the shock of our life. Red Hulk was seen lifting Mjolnir, but we all know that he's far from worthy. How was he able to use Mjolnir then? Well, as we all know, Mjolnir is enchanted, and only the worthy can lift it and use its power. Now, what makes one worthy is very rigid, so only a handful of people have lifted Mjolnir, and Thaddeus is definitely not one of them. Given how much he hated his son-in-law, Thaddeus spent quite a bit of time looking into his son-in-law's close associates, the Avengers. When, in the 5th issue, he went up against Thor, Thaddeus managed to figure out a loophole that he could exploit. In order for Mjolnir to be lifted, there needs to be a surface on which Mjolnir is on, right? Gravity clearly plays a key role in the enchantment of Mjolnir to work. So to prevent that, Thaddeus launches both him and Thor into space. With no gravity in sight, Mjolnir didn't have any surface to be bound to, allowing Red Hulk to swing the hammer and use it against him. While it was clear that Red Hulk didn't get access to Mjolnir's entire power, Red Hulk was not opposed to using Mjolnir like a mallet and thrashing Thor around with it. Talk about being the most unworthy one to hold Mjolnir. How does his healing factor work? Does he age in his Red Hulk form? Like Hulk, Red Hulk too has regenerative healing, but unlike Hulk's, Red Hulk's regenerative healing is noticeably slower. When Wolverine attacked Red Hulk and slashed him across his eyes, face, and chest, it took Red Hulk quite a while to restore his sight. But does that mean that Red Hulk ages in this form? Despite how slow his healing is, it is regenerative in nature. So the healing factor regenerates his cells, and he ends up getting rejuvenated to a younger form. When he reverts back to his normal self, Ross ages like any other. However, on one occasion, we saw that when Thaddeus changed into Red Hulk after being depowered for a long time, his hair did not turn black. It remained white like in his human form. So now we cannot be sure if he's old or not. Can he absorb Silver Surfer's cosmic power? In the 12th issue of Hulk Volume 2, we saw the extent to which Red Hulk can absorb powers. In this volume titled Winner Takes All, Red Hulk returned to the Elders right after defeating Hulk. He joined hands with the Elders to take down whoever he could. Silver Surfer, the Herald of Galactus, was one of his victims. Red Hulk grabbed a hold of him and then absorbed every bit of cosmic power present in the Silver Surfer, seemingly killing the Herald. He then threw the Herald aside and hopped on his board, moving on to the Dark Dimension to continue his carnage. While this whole issue focuses on all the things that Red Hulk can do, seeing him drain and almost kill Silver Surfer shows just how strong and power-hungry the Red Hulk can be. Is the Red Hulk a walking nuclear reactor? How powerful are his gamma radiation emissions? If you ever end up meeting Thaddeus Ross, you better hope you have all the protective gear necessary to survive. No, not because he'll thrash you around, even though there's a high chance he might. See, Thaddeus' body constantly gives off gamma radiation, especially when he's in the Red Hulk form. The angrier he gets, the more intense the emission becomes. Sometimes the rate of emission is so high that whatever Ross touches, he ends up burning it. In fact, at an even higher level, it looks like Ross is on fire. When Ross overheats, he can explode, emitting a lot of radiation, which you can understand is quite dangerous for his opponents. Watcher can't watch now. The Watcher is a cosmic entity who's tasked to watch over the entirety of humanity. Uatu, the Watcher, usually does not let his presence be known, as it goes against the Watcher code of conduct. However, if there's a terrible tragedy about to happen that can be prevented, Uatu makes his presence known. One day, Uatu showed up to give Thaddeus a bit of advice, hoping to prevent some tragedy from happening like the kind soul that he is. However, Red Hulk, instead of listening to anything Uatu had to say, decided to punch the Watcher in the face, knocking him out cold. This may not seem like an impressive feat, but it really is. See, Watchers are an eternal cosmic race. They have immense power, far more than anyone can fathom. Their power levels are almost on par with Galactus, the one who eats planets, so if you can knock out such a powerful person with one punch, that's definitely a big deal. What is his weakness? Despite being an incredibly powerful being, Red Hulk is not devoid of weaknesses. As Red Hulk, despite surviving heavy weaponry without a scratch, he has a very obvious and exploitable weakness to bladed objects. He was stabbed very easily by the Punisher, and Wolverine managed to slash him across the eyes, chest, and back temporarily, blinding the Hulk. On top of that, if Red Hulk ends up absorbing energy from the negative zone, he ends up weaker instead of stronger. But to make up for that, if he absorbs excessive energy and gets too mad, he ends up overheating himself because of overproduction of gamma radiation and eventually passes out. While he can preserve his intelligence and memories in Red Hulk form, Thaddeus is not immune to any type of mind attack from a powerful psychic. And obviously, it goes without saying that in his human form, Thaddeus is vulnerable just like the rest of us. Marvelous verdict. And with that, guys, we come to the end of this video. Thaddeus E. Ross is a complicated character. And even though he's an antagonist in general, I find his character quite likable. Yes, it is a bit annoying seeing him make stupid decisions blinded by rage, but then again, that's what makes him relatable. We've all done it at one point. And now that Thaddeus Ross will be played by Harrison Ford in the upcoming Captain America movie, you can bet that there will be a significant surge in Thaddeus Ross fans. So don't forget to mark your calendar, guys. This year, you will have more than one thing to look forward to for Valentine's Day. And if you liked our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks, everyone!